We've got about 1 minute to two, so I'm going to go ahead and start with a quick little introduction about April. Thank you so much, April. We just happened to hang out yesterday too. Now that I've seen your background, I'm like, oh, I know who that is. We were in here in the dress rehearsal. I was looking at your bio information, and I love your first line. I'm going to read it verbatim because I think it's really strong and telling. A special education teacher driven by successful co-teaching, instruction, curriculum, and assessment. And I think that is an awesome way to talk about how the trinity there of coming together to make successful situations for kids. April is an alum of the University of Kentucky and Georgetown College. And in addition to being national board certified, I love that she's currently enrolled in the letters program. I think there's probably a lot of folks here who are working on or with someone in letters. I think it's a phenomenal program. I am not doing it, but I have been just in the edges of it enough to really appreciate what an impact I think it's going to make for students with the teachers that are enrolled in it. And then lastly, I'll mention that April serves on the KDE Teacher Advisory Council, which I bet is very interesting and a real great learning experience too. April, thank
It
you
has
so
been
much.
great fun. It has
Yeah.
been great fun. And, the letters thing for me started because I love Lexia. So actually when I started out years and years ago teaching high school social studies, left that for behavior administration, had breast cancer, which led me to special education. It's just everything happens for a reason. And that led me to a love of Lexia, which I ended up doing my national boards, a big chunk of my national boards on everything Lexia can do for us. So when I saw letters was Lexia based, I was just ecstatic. So
that's a great extra detail to go into what you're going to talk about today. Thank you. And I will hand it right over to you.
Yes. So I've lost count of the number of times I've had the superintendent or an administrator from another building come see me, because apparently most special education teachers do not enjoy co-teaching. And I'm the exact opposite. If you shared with me that I was going to be a straight resource teacher, or that maybe 80% of my day was going to be resource, I would just have to strongly reconsider my next year assignment. So I guess that's kind of what makes me unique, is that since my shift 10 years ago to special education from other areas, my passion has truly been co-teaching. So apparently that makes me a little unique, but I just wanted to take our time this afternoon to share with you why I enjoy it and how I have found success with it. So honestly, as I think a leader, and I've only been in behavior administration, not as a principal, but I think it's important for us to kind of think about, what does collaboration look like in your school? Because I have been in schools that were very collaboration friendly, and I have been in settings that collaboration was just not a positive experience at that time, based on whatever reason that might be. So I think for you as a leader during this session, to just really reflect and think about, what does collaboration look like in your school? And is it in a good situation? And if not, how could we work through making that a more positive experience for everyone, including you? So here's my team currently. I'm in second and fourth grade, and I've been, as special ed, we kind of go all over. So I have been all over every grade in elementary and high school. I have not yet tackled middle school, but maybe that will be in my future path. I'm not sure. I'm getting pretty close to retirement at this point, so we'll see. But here is my current dream team in Hardin County, and they are wonderful. They are young, they are excited, and they pretty much put up with anything I throw their way. So that's what collaboration looks like for me right now. Now, we are extremely blessed to have our district assessment, our district diagnostic assessment to be iReady. That has changed our lives. So if you are without a strong district assessment, that makes my teacher heart very sad for you. That really is the core foundation of where we begin. So we just had our winter assessments, and I'm so proud of our team. We had about 120% growth across both grades, and we are very proud of that. But more important for that growth is it gives us our personalized where we need to go next. And again, with the differentiated, we have access to iReady and Lexia. I am a huge fan of Lexia. I'm leaning over into iReady, but Lexia is just at the core of everything that I know. The structured part comes in with our structured literacy that we are continuing to learn so much about in our letters training and program. So I am literacy by nature, but iReady Math is making me a much better instructor in that area. I have never really had the opportunity to just have that step-by-step diagnostic and structured. So I am enjoying math once again. So it's funny how we kind of go in circles about what we enjoy. So honestly, I feel I'm so proud of our team because we make every single instructional minute count. If I were to be asked, oh, could you add that into your day? No, I really can't, because every single instructional minute from the time our students walk in the door until the time we walk them to the bus is accounted for. And that's awesome. It is, but it does not give us a lot of flexibility. Their iReady My Path, which we hold them accountable with their weekly goals. And that's not just me, not just the Gen Ed teachers, that is the collaboration efforts for sure. Our small group instruction, always differentiated based on our district assessments. Our district is fabulous in Hardin County. We have an instructional focus on top of our My Path. And then we even seat our kiddos by teams based on their assessment groupings and discussion opportunities. So we used to do Kagan, but now we do a little bit different version of that with our collaboration team. But both, we use everything from our assessments. This is kind of what our co-taught collaboration group efforts look like. Our weekly accountability, our kiddos have to earn their flexible seating, and this is across the board. Keeping in mind, this is a co-taught classroom, so it may look like in a gen ed classroom that could be 4 lessons passed or all the way to their goal. But in my current classroom, over half the students have an IEP of some sort. Our lesson plans are completely written together, 50-50, and I know that this is often, from what I've been told, unheard of. It's just all I know. It's what works. If I had to walk into a classroom and someone just handed me a stack and said, this is what you're going to teach, it would just kind of break my teacher's heart, to be honest with you. And then the instructional focus is just an extra little bonus that keeps us on track for what we should be focusing on based on our instructional focus. Our ISD is phenomenal to just not only provide the resources, but the support to be successful as well. And I know I'm very, very fortunate in that aspect. Again, iReady is our assessment of choice, but easily it shows us our most recent assessment, the placement by their domain, and then the teacher toolbox shows us each step of our curriculum, where we need to go, how we can differentiate it, what our small groups should look like. As a co-taught classroom, as a team, we don't veer from this for math, reading, and writing. And as I tell my much younger peers, the reason we don't is because we know that that's how gaps happen. And that's why we're back to structured literacy. We're not going to choose what to skip, what to bounce around. We're going to go through everything. Now, does that mean that every small group looks the same? Absolutely not. They are all differentiated, but the standards are tied in with each unit, with each lesson, and we have that planned out from day one. So I think that's something that often, especially our younger teachers, might think, oh, well, our kiddos know this. But do they? And that's a frustration for me. And this year we've added in the iReady fluency and skill strategies every Thursday just to see, do they actually know this? Because if we think they do, then that's one thing. But if they show us they can, as we all know, that's a complete other. So there's no guesswork. We have their most recent assessment. We have their placement by domain. We have our teacher toolbox that tells us exactly how to teach what they need to know. And this ties in with our Lexia, which again, I'm a huge fan of. It tells us their skills progress report. It immediately gives us skill builders and then the adaptations, especially for new teachers. It's wonderful for your staff. It tells you exactly how to reteach, what to reteach, step by step, which I would have loved to have had as a new teacher for sure. So those adaptations are very, very helpful. Our district data tracker is very accessible to where we can all see across teams, which is a huge collaboration piece, exactly where we are, who's where, who still needs what. We all share instructional assistants. So this is helpful as well. We do not have instructional assistants that are assigned to let's say second grade or fourth grade per se. So this is an open tracker for us to all see where we are. It shows up on our PLCs. And to me, it's just a wonderful document to make sure that everyone is informed. Structured literacy, we use MCOG, and it has changed at 50 years old. It has completely changed. I mean, I've been through Reading Street. I've been through them all, you name it. I feel like I've done it because again, literacy is my passion. Crying happy tears when I did both trainings, the morphology and the early literacy training. I've even said to my husband at some point, I'm like, I'm surprised our kids can read. I jumped around so much, did not teach structured literacy the way that we are now and have been the last few years. And it has been an eye-opener to me. And I'm loving it. I absolutely love it. I try to share with my teams the only way, especially students now, and it's probably one of my biggest frustrations, is why can our students not that it just seems they're just not able to retain the knowledge. I mean, I can remember sitting down with my parents and just learning my math facts. And it just doesn't happen anymore. And then if you think they have them, then they don't. And I feel that the structured literacy and us making those concept connections across social studies and across science, it seems that that is our best chance for growth. So I'm not quite sure, and I feel I'm showing my age, but I just don't know why our students are unable to retain the knowledge like previous decades. It seems that they could. And I know there's a variety of reasons for that, and we're not going to get into that today, but concept connections across social studies, across science, tying into what we're doing in literacy has really helped us. Our small groups, our literacy and math groups are unique. They are based on most recent district assessments. And then our team, at least once a week, sometimes maybe every other day, will say, you know what? Harper's not a red, Harper's a yellow. And that may be as easy as walking up to the smart board and making a switch. And that's where we keep these. And they are accessible across the board where we all have access to them. And it's invaluable. And this is where the best of our instruction happens, is in small group, as we know. not be afraid to say, Cora's no longer a blue. She needs to be a green. We're not going to wait 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We're going to make this shift right now. And that as well is a key piece to successful co-teaching and collaboration for sure. And that's me and what we've done. And I had hoped that everyone would have questions because apparently co-teaching and collaboration is not often a positive system in your buildings, from what I've been told. I know some leaders do choose to send out a survey to their general ed teacher and just to say, do you have an interest in co-teaching? It's not for everyone. Do you have an interest in collaboration across through different teams? And often that may help. It is indeed a marriage. I have been in really wonderful co-teaching marriages, and I have been in some that put me in the fetal position. So it's very important as we develop post-pandemic more and more and more students that are identified as students with disabilities, whether that will carry them through or not. Right now, where we're seeing collaboration and co-teaching are just going to be a huge piece of what you're dealing with in your buildings. So that is what I have for you. If you have questions about what our planning looks like, what our data collection looks like, why I love iReady, why I love Lexia, how structured literacy has changed our lives, anything, I am more than happy to answer those at this time.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Shane Markwell. I'm a district resource teacher working specifically with special education. We love iReady as well. We use it.
Life changing.
Yes, it is. My question is, we have groupings, just like you talked about. We have special education teachers going in doing groups. My question is, our groups are fluid, like you talked about. If that student that is receiving co-teaching services moves to another group and it's not with the special education teacher, how do you work in for that child to receive services?
Okay, so our groups are 20 to 25 minutes. Let's say, for example, on Monday, I'm going to see the red and yellow group for math, and I'll see the green and blue group for reading. On Tuesday, that's going to switch. So most co-taught resource minutes in our district, they're written by the week. So for example, if it's a social emotional kid, there's 75 minutes one time a week, which works out to 15 minutes a day, or that might look like 30 minutes on another day. Is that helpful?
Yes, yes, because we
So
do that.
if you always have a special education teacher running a group, then they should see those kids. Now in our district, so our students can only be written for co-taught or resource, not
Yes.
both. And I don't know if that's a statewide, you never know what's a statewide thing or what's a your district thing. But so our students are, the majority are written for co-taught. Really, the only resource students are students with mild mental disabilities, or maybe every now and then a student with autism, but we try to keep ours as co-taught as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Was that helpful?
That was, yes.
I know every schedule is completely
Yeah,
different, but that's how we've kind of run ours to where they're all getting seen.
that makes sense with choosing weekly instead of daily.
Yes, we always write our minutes weekly.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
The daily got into a hard, because we have so many Mondays off, it's a lot easier to write them weekly. Anyone else have any questions about planning or who's responsible for what? I often get the question, well, how do you make plans if you don't have a set planning time together? That's often a burning question. I don't ever have the same planning time as my co-teachers. But iReady and Lexia really, if you have good systems in place, I have been in schools where Lexia was all I had, and I was very grateful for that. But creating your own curriculum and trying to hit all the standards, I feel like I have landed in just the motherland having iReady, because if you have access to it, it's wonderful. We write our IEP goals based on our iReady assessments. So that has been really cool to learn. And I'm more than happy to share any resources, our lesson plans, what that looks like, what I do, what the gen ed teachers do. But I think the biggest part of, other than using the data, of course, and letting that drive your instruction, it is just making sure, as a leader especially, I've worked in buildings where leaders have just said, you're going to be co-taught. And there are gen ed teachers who don't want to be co-taught. So just kind of sending that anonymous and just kind of getting a feel for your teachers and who wants to be co-taught and who doesn't. A previous presenter, she and I were co-taught together for years and years, and it was wonderful. But it doesn't, you can't really make someone do it if they don't want to do it. If it's not in their heart, because if you don't love behavior and you don't love that piece of it, it's not going to be beneficial for anyone.
You've got a comment in the chat. I don't know if you can see that, April, about maybe reaching out to you after
Of
the
course,
district
Brooke.
started.
Of course. I've kind of gone full circle. So I would be more than happy to share with you what works. I would send you all of our slides, any of our documents. I would be more than happy to share. There's no reason to ever reinvent the wheel. And I have the best co-teaching teams ever right now. So we would all be more than happy to share with you what we're doing, what's working. Last year, our group of kiddos did not have in-person kindergarten. And then their first grade teacher was enduring the loss of a spouse. So essentially, kindergarten and first grade were a wash. And so we inherited those precious children as second graders, and we felt so responsible. And that was at the same time we were getting iReady, we were getting our structured literacy. So that motivated us a little bit extra to just kind of make everything work. Now, keep in mind, I'm 50 and some of my co-teachers, thanks to graduating high school with associate's degrees, are 21. And I have a 22-year-old son. And I'm like, how in the world do these people do it? I mean, I'm just trying to get him graduated from UK and to take care of himself. These girls are coming in, taking care of 26 humans and doing an amazing job. But
Thank you so much, April. I'm gonna,
absolutely.
and I appreciate you being willing to take questions. I'll remind you guys, if you go to the grid, you can access the deck, and April's email address is on there on her landing page. And I can put the link to the grid back in here. Actually, I'm going to share the grid for just a minute to give you a quick reminder about where you go next.